There's really only two ways to scale a business. And in this video, I'm going to give you 20 strategies within those two ways that you can apply to your business at any point in your journey and for any business you have for the rest of your life. And if you don't know who I am, I'm Brody Vincent. I grew a staffing company from $0 to $3.2 million in 20 months. And now I consult with other people who have businesses that are trying to grow them to millions of dollars per year. And I take equity in businesses so that they can get even bigger, even faster. And if you're watching this and you're a business that wants to scale, grow, and maybe even sell one day, I would love to work with you one day so that you can do just that. Now, along the course of me growing and developing in my entrepreneurial career, not only have I worked on some of these really big businesses and had some success, but I've also met hundreds and hundreds of different business owners and people in mergers and acquisitions and people doing all kinds of really cool stuff, way bigger than me, people running 7, 8, 9-figure businesses. And one thing that I've noticed from talking to these people, because I've spent hours and hours interviewing people like this and getting to know them, befriending them, networking with them, people doing way bigger things than me. And the thing I've realized is that honestly, there's not some special sauce that these people have. It's really simply that they just have strategies that they apply well. And so I think that if you watch this video and really, really take note and take in these strategies from 1 to 20 and figure out how to apply them in your business, you can scale to a business the size of these 7, 8, 9-figure businesses, because these are the same strategies that they apply. There's no special crazy thing that they have that you don't have. So if you're a business that's trying to get to that point, I guarantee that if you apply these strategies correctly, you can get there. Now, as you're watching this, I encourage you to drop a comment below on what your biggest takeaway was, and especially if you are already a business owner, if you saw a strategy in here that you've decided to apply to your business, go ahead and let us know what it is in the comments. Maybe you can help another business owner along in their journey as well. But the first strategy has to do with getting more customers. Now, this is the first of the two ways that you can scale a business. So we're going to explore some strategies within that, how you can actually do that. But stay tuned for number 20 because it's a really big one. And it's one that people don't really think about often. The first set of strategies has to do with capturing demand. There's really only two ways that you can get more customers, which is either capturing demand or creating demand. And we're going to talk about both. So capturing demand has to do with finding customers that are already looking for whatever you're selling. So the first strategy we're going to talk about here is running Google search ads. Now, I'll use an example of a company I actually work with right now. They're an air duct cleaning company. And what they do is they actually put ad spend every day on search terms that people are searching for when they want their air ducts cleaned. So whenever they Google search, they see them up in the ads section, and then they'll simply select their website and give them a call. And then the next thing they know, they've got some business. So this is a way that you can grow, is just by taking advantage of what people are already searching and putting a little bit of ad spend behind it to speed things up. Now, the key here is, in their case, they know that they can put about $3 in and get out another $20 or so, about $3.50 and get about $20 out of that. So that's actually a very profitable way to grow. Now, you have to understand whether this is right for your business. And another little tip is that they actually work with a Google Ads specialist that's on the Google team for free, and they're able to really, really expedite their progress this way. So the next strategy we're going to talk about is improving your SEO by actually putting keyword-specific things into your content. Now, this is along the same lines of the Google ad spend that we talked about before, but this is a free strategy. So in this strategy, you would take a look at the same types of keywords. So we use them as an example. They might look at air duct cleaning near me, or how to clean your air ducts, or something like that, and write articles around those things so that when people do search for that and they're looking to get theirs done, they see their website pop up in the top of the search results for specific keyword searches terms. So this is just another way that you can actually take advantage of that search volume that's already happening. And a little tip here is you can use a website called Google Trends, and you can just go search different keywords that have to do with your business and see what the actual search volume is in your area if you operate locally, or just overall if you operate everywhere. And then you can specifically make sure those keywords are represented in your content. Now, another one we're going to talk about here, number 3, is networking by exposure. So an example of this is, imagine if you're an accountant that works on tax strategy and you see that there's an event happening in your area where it's tax saving strategies. Like the event is specifically for business owners that are trying to save on their taxes. It would make a lot of sense for you to go to an event like this and try to meet some of these business owners so that you can potentially capture that demand. Because if you think about it, someone going to an event like that already has a problem that's pretty well defined that you solve. So if they go to an event looking to solve that problem, you can be there to be the solution and then hopefully win their business. Now, strategy number 4 is social media content. And we're going to talk about this in another section as well. But an example of capturing demand here would be a lawyer that's making content specifically about how to file claims if you get damages of some kind in a car accident. This happens all the time. These lawyers will make very specific content where they're literally saying, here's how you can file damages, and I do this. If you want to file the damages, I'm your guy. And you can even put ad spend behind these as well. And if you think about this, this is addressing a very specific problem that someone is already looking for a solution for. So if they're out there exploring solutions, they might find that lawyer's content if they've gotten in a car accident, and then they'll want to go actually find the solution to that problem through that person. It could be a free strategy, or you could put ad spend behind this and do even better. Now, the next strategy is pre-qualified outreach. Now, we're going to talk about a different kind of outreach as well, but for now, pre-qualified outreach is exactly this. So an example I like to use here is a realtor that might buy a list of leads. So if you were a realtor and you're operating in a specific area, it would be to your advantage to know all the people in that area that are trying to buy homes, because you make your commission when they buy homes. So what a realtor might do in this case is they might go buy a list of leads, which is a list of people who have already submitted some kind of intent somewhere online that they're trying to buy a home. Or a big realtor company that a realtor works for might have this list of people that have already submitted something. And then the realtor would then reach out to each of these people. So they could reach out to them via email, they could call them, they could send them a message on social media, they could send them a mailer in the mail, all kinds of different ways to do this outreach. But this is, again, taking advantage of traffic that already exists because someone's already said that they want to solve this problem and you're capturing it. So a little bonus tip here, number 6, is actually incentivizing and asking for reviews. So an example I'll use here is one of my other clients. They're a photo booth company. And what they do is they bring these really premium photo booths out to events. And then whenever they're done with the event, what they'll do is assuming that things have gone well and the customer's happy, they'll ask right there on the spot for a review. And what this does is when you have a lot of reviews, it helps you rank higher on Google search again, but also it helps lend some credibility when people do find you on Google search. Because if you were to pop up with 3 other competitors and you have way more Google reviews than they do and they're positive reviews, you're going to be more likely to gain the business of the customer that is searching for you, even if they've never worked for you before or with you before, because they simply see that there's social proof behind what you're doing. Now, if you're enjoying this content so far, I would love for you to like this video and subscribe to my channel if you want to see more business and self-improvement content. And if you're already subscribed, thank you for being a loyal subscriber, and go ahead and hit that notification bell so you can see whenever I come out with new content like this. Now, the next set of strategies that we're going to talk about have to do with actually creating demand. Now, this is going to differ a lot from the other strategies because we're now taking advantage of not traffic that has already been created, but traffic that we have to create ourselves. So a little note here is that you need to be, whenever you're trying to create demand with something, usually it's because you have a little bit more of a specific problem that you solve, or it's something new to the market, or just not that widely recognized or well understood. An example would be like in the fitness world, when the ketogenic diet was a whole new thing, people weren't necessarily going out searching for someone who helps you write a meal plan about the ketogenic diet. But people that were new to it and on the forefront of it had to actually create that demand for people who didn't know about it. So they had to do a little bit different type of strategy. Now, the key here is you need to be very specific about who you're trying to serve with the problem that you're trying to solve. And this means more focusing on the psychographics of someone versus the demographics of someone. So a key distinction here is rather than focusing on the demographics for someone, for example, where they live, what their income is, that kind of thing, you might focus on something a little bit more specific. So you might say, I want to only go after moms between the ages of 40 and 50 years old that have an empty nest scenario and are trying to get back into their fitness. Something like that, something very focused on the actual psychology behind things. And that helps you actually find your target customer here. Now, an example that I'll give here. So number 7, first strategy in this section is ads on social media. So this is similar to making the content that we talked about before, except you would want to hone in more specifically on your offering and give a very clear call to action. So if you're running an ad on social media, it might be making a very specific piece of content that actually says what you do, who you serve, and how you solve the problem, and then gives a call to action to actually go to your website or give you a call or submit an inquiry form or something like that. Just be very specific. And if you call out the person that you're trying to serve very specifically, again, with that example, if you say, if you're a mom between the ages of 40 or 50 and your kids just went off to your last kid just went off to college and you're trying to get back into your fitness routine, I'm here to serve you. So give me a call, something like that, something very specific, because then people will feel like the ad is specifically tailored to them. Now, number 8, our next strategy is what I call piggyback SEO. So this would be tying your unique mechanism or problem that you're solving to something that's already well understood. So if we use that same example of the fitness thing and the ketogenic diet, you could say, if you've tried Atkins diet, if you've tried carbohydrate restriction, if you tried all these things and didn't have success, then this thing might be for you. So you're kind of piggybacking off of search volume that's already happening. People might already be searching for these other diets or how to do these other things, but then you write content that actually talks about your thing and how it's the actual solution. So in this way, you're kind of hijacking search volume for something else that's already well understood, but presenting your other unique mechanism as a way to solve that instead. You might be able to capture demand that way. Now, number 9 is networking, educating. So this is similar to going to networking events that we talked about before, but in this case, rather than just trying to capture that demand of people that are already going to solve that problem, you have to educate them a little bit more. And the best way you can do this, in my opinion, and what I've done, is actually doing speaking engagements. So becoming one of the speakers for either an event that's already planned or planning your own event. And so I'll give you an example of one that I'm doing right now. I'm planning an event where it's put on by a financial advisor at a financial advising office with a lot of existing clients. And it's specifically a workshop to help small business owners with their financial strategy. But I'll be going there as one of the speakers and teaching about the business consulting that I do, because it's not a relatively well understood thing. Some of the things I work on are not widely known to all business owners. I have to do a lot of educating typically to bring them into the realm of understanding and being problem aware of the problem that I actually solve. So I'll be talking to them in the financial lens that they're trying to solve, but I'm presenting a new thing that is a new problem for them. And then they might see that they have that problem once I educate them on it and then want to solve it through me. Now, strategy number 10 is content educating. And this is basically the same as strategy number 9, except rather than going to in-person events and doing the educating through speaking or networking there, you're actually making content. The best example I can give here is that I'm actually doing it right now. So this video that you're watching and listening to right now is me doing content educating, because if you think about it, you might have one of these problems in your business. You might be able to take advantage of one of these strategies, and you might understand now that this is a way for you to grow and you want to grow. And when you hear about it, you might want me to help you solve that problem. And if that is you, go ahead and go to the link in the description right now. Feel free to book a call, and I would love to help you personalize one of these strategies to your business. Now, strategy number 11 is non-qualified outreach. So this differs from the other type of outreach that we talked about in one simple case. And that is that the person hasn't already expressed intent to solve the problem that you solve. So in this case, this is a much more cold type of outreach. It can work the same way where you're either cold calling someone, cold emailing someone, cold messaging someone, or cold mailing someone. Except in this case, you have to include, again, a little bit of that educative element, or you have to form the relationship first before you can actually pitch them on anything. So this is a much more long-term strategy, and you should not go straight into the meat of your pitch when you actually pitch these people. Whereas with the other type of outreach, you already know they're trying to solve a specific problem. So you can literally say, hey, I see that you're trying to buy this house. I help people buy houses. Let me help you buy a house. With unpre-qualified outreach, you actually want to just inform them of what you do first and kind of slow play it a little bit more. Now, an actual practical example of this is actually my air duct cleaning company that I work with. Again, what they might do in this case is, because not everyone knows that they need their air ducts cleaned. It's kind of a new problem that's coming to the surface and not something everyone does. But what people might understand is that they're having allergies. They might have difficulty breathing. They might just not be happy with the air quality within their home. And so if you did some kind of outreach, you could reach out to people and say, hey, are you having allergies? Are you having difficulty breathing in your home? Something like that. Just bringing the problem to the surface so that they're then problem aware before you actually go for any kind of pitch. And they might say, yes, I am having trouble breathing. I am having allergies in my home. And that's when you could actually pitch your service, which helps them solve that problem that you've made them aware of. Now, number 12 is another bonus, which is incentivizing or asking for referrals. And this could actually apply to either capturing demand or creating demand. So I'll use two examples of this that would actually be practical applications. So one example would be a lawyer that offers a discount if you refer a friend. So maybe there's a lawyer that helps you structure business entities. They help you actually create your business entity and get you started. And they might give you either a discount on your service or money back if you refer another friend to them that actually closes with their business. So in this way, you as the customer would be very incentivized to bring them someone else because there's a monetary value in you doing that. Now, another example I'll use is from the M&A world that I operate in. This is very, very common. So almost any business broker that you go to, if you were to go to them and say, hey, I have someone that wants to sell their business, they would offer you a part of the commission that they would get if that business sells. So a broker typically will get like a 10% commission or so for selling a business, and they might give you anywhere from like 10 to 20% of that if you actually bring them that referral. And so there's a really big incentive here. And while we're on that subject, I happen to be very well connected in this area. So check the link in the description again. I'll give you a link there or something to reach out to me if you do know someone that wants to sell their business, because I can probably get you paid some kind of commission for it. Now, the next set of strategies we're going to talk about is section 2, which is making your customers worth more. So this is a whole nother set of strategies, and this is really the second way that you can scale your business. So strategy number 13, we're first going to talk about a set of strategies that have to deal with giving more service. So there's going to be a couple of different ways that you can actually make your customers worth more. The first one is actually just giving them more service. So the first way you can do this is incentivizing repeat purchases like subscriptions, recurring services, things like that. These could be either quarterly, monthly, yearly, doesn't really matter, but some kind of repeat purchases. So to give you an example of this, there's an HVAC company I work with, so heating, ventilation, and air conditioning company I work with, where they have something called maintenance agreements. They don't call them contracts because contracts feel like this thing that you can't get out of and like this very entrenched thing, and they can be a little intimidating. They just call them maintenance agreements. And this is simply for either people or businesses that want their air conditioning checked once or twice a year. So they pay either a monthly or a yearly amount for him to actually go service their air conditioning before it actually becomes a problem and goes out, because they don't want to have to deal with an emergency if their air conditioning does go out, and they're willing to pay a little bit more over the long course of things to just make sure that it's checked regularly and that they don't end up having to replace it and have a huge cost behind it. So this is just a way to incentivize people giving you more regular income. And when you have that, rather than always hunting for business, you can understand the revenue that's going to be coming in a little bit more. And another little really big thing for this is that when you do this, if you have a lot of this in your business, a lot of this recurring revenue, that actually makes it worth way more if you ever want to sell it. Because when someone wants to buy it, they see that it's got all this recurring revenue and they can understand that it's going to make them money. Now, strategy number 14 is upselling additional services of the same type. So an example of this would be a pressure washer. If there was a pressure washer and pressure washing company and they were coming to pressure wash your driveway, they might say something at the end like, hey, do you want us to do your sidewalks as well, just so that those are cleaned up as well? So in that way, they would be doing more of the same thing, but they would be able to charge more money in that instance because they're doing more of the same service. Now, number 15 is to offer complementary services. So rolling with that same example of the pressure washing company, another thing they might be able to do is that they might then say, once they've finished all the pressure washing, they could offer a painting service. So they could say, hey, we noticed after we clean things up that the paint is a little bit chipped and it's a little bit worn down. It looks a little bit old. Would you like us to repaint the siding of your house as well? And in that case, they would be able to, again, charge more money for more service. But in this case, it's a little bit different type of service, but it complements what they already did. Now, number 16 is fairly similar, but a little bit different type of strategy, vertical integration. Now, this simply just means selling a service that the customer would need either before or after whatever your service is, or kind of along the value chain, so to speak. So if we use that same example of the pressure washing company, if they were looking to expand and grow larger, another thing that they could do is they could offer landscaping services. If you think about it, if they've already done the work of finding a customer and they know that it's someone who values their driveway and their sidewalks and maybe their house being clean on the outside and well washed, well painted, that kind of thing, then they know that they value the exterior appearance of their home. They could also offer them landscaping services. So they could offer to cut their grass, something like that, because they know that that's something that they'll need either before or after they work with them. So it's another kind of part of the value chain. And that's just another way they could do more service for the same customer and make them worth even more. So number 17 takes us into a totally different realm, which is bigger service. The first strategy we're going to talk about here is simply just finding richer customers. So an example of this, and these are richer customers in the same market. So an example of this would simply be, if we thought about a painting company and they paint houses mostly, they do nothing but painting houses as their way of business and they were trying to expand. Would you rather paint a shack or a mansion? So if they were used to painting very small houses, a great way for them to expand would be simply for them to just go to bigger neighborhoods with bigger houses with people that have more money, because they can charge a lot more money to paint a mansion than they could to paint a little shack. So if you're working with small customers that don't have a lot of money, a great way to expand the business could just be to find customers that have more money and in turn are willing to pay for a bigger service. Strategy number 18 is to find customers with different needs in different markets. So an example of this, if we think about that same painting company, maybe they're very used to painting nothing but homes, but they've never considered working with commercial buildings. So they might be able to work with restaurants or storefronts or even full kind of plaza complexes to paint those and make a lot more money for just one job because they're painting something much bigger and in turn doing a much bigger service. So a great way for you to expand if you happen to be in the home services is to start doing commercial services as well. Strategy number 19, we're taking us near the end here, is expanding from done with you to done for you. So an example of this is a personal trainer. And if it's someone who was used to just kind of working with the fitness plan and they also kind of teach you how to create your own meal plan, a really good way for them to expand could be that they say, hey, I've been helping you for a little while with teaching you how to create a meal plan. I think it could help even more if you just let me create the entire thing for you. They could even take it a step further than that and they could say, hey, I'll create an entire meal plan for you and I'll also go buy your groceries and make sure that you have all the right stuff in your home. And in that way, they're doing a much bigger service that they can charge much more for because they're saving the customer time. Now, this person might not have been doing their own meal plans or getting the right groceries before because they just didn't have enough time to do it or didn't think they did. And now they might be willing to pay more money for a bigger service where everything is done entirely for them. And it's just a lot more simple. Now, number 20, our last strategy here is simply to offer a more dramatic result. So if we think about that same personal trainer, a way that they could offer a more dramatic result is that they could work on a different type of thing. So maybe they're very used to just working with the average everyday person that's just trying to be in shape and do that kind of thing. Maybe this person just wants to work out either 1 or 2 times a week and just try to stay decently in shape. But a way that they could offer much more dramatic results is that they could say, hey, I helped people specifically get in shape enough to do bodybuilding competitions. And then they would be probably working with a different type of customer that's wanting to work out maybe every day and have an entirely done for them service that we talked about in the last strategy and just have a much more hands-on level of input that is ultimately going to lead to a much more dramatic outcome. So you might just start working with people who are seeking that more dramatic outcome, that more dramatic result, if you're trying to grow and become bigger. Now, these have just been a few strategies that you can implement in any type of business that's a service-based business to help grow and scale it. I hope you can apply these to your business. And if you're struggling to think of ways to do that effectively, again, I encourage you to book a call with me in the link in the description so that we can talk about how to personalize this to your business and actually help you grow and scale. And again, if you got any value out of this video, like the video, subscribe to my channel. I hope to see you in the next one. And I'm going to put some videos around here that you might also enjoy. Have a great one.